The search landscape has fundamentally changed, and if you're still optimizing content the way you did even a year ago, you need to understand what's happening right now. Following the recent antitrust ruling, Google has transformed how it presents information to users. For a large and growing number of queries, traditional 10 blue links are no longer displayed. Instead, Google prioritizes AI-generated summaries and direct answers powered by its Gemini technology. This shift places Google alongside other major AI-driven platforms, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and Copilot, that deliver conversational, synthesized responses instead of simple lists of links. The result is a new era of search, where users interact directly with intelligent systems rather than browsing through websites. And that forces us to learn an entirely new set of optimization skills. Today, I'm going to explain exactly what this shift means, how it differs from traditional SEO, and the 3 fundamental principles you need to understand to optimize content for AI systems. Let's start by understanding what's actually changed. Traditional search engines worked by matching your query to an index of web pages, then ranking those pages based on relevance, authority, and hundreds of other factors. You'd type a question, get a list of links, and click through to find your answer. That model is being replaced by something fundamentally different. AI-powered search systems now synthesize information from multiple sources and generate a direct answer. Instead of showing you where to find information, they tell you the information directly. Think about what this means practically. When you ask Google a question today, you're increasingly likely to see an AI-generated overview at the top of the results. This overview synthesizes information from multiple sources, provides a comprehensive answer, and only occasionally do users need to click through to the original sources. The same thing is happening across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and other AI platforms. Users are getting answers, not links. This creates a fundamental challenge. If your content isn't being referenced in these AI-generated answers, you're becoming invisible, even if you rank well in traditional search results. And that brings us to a critical new concept, GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization. So what exactly is the difference between SEO and GEO? Let's break this down clearly. SEO, the search engine optimization, is always focused on improving a website's visibility in search results. The goal was to rank higher in the algorithm and secure a spot among the 10 blue links. You optimized for keywords, built backlinks, and addressed technical factors that influenced how your page appeared in search listings. SEO was about being found, about being in the right place when someone searched for your topic. GEO, the Generative Engine Optimization, on the other hand, focuses on ensuring that your brand, content, or product is referenced, cited, or included within AI-generated responses. Instead of competing for placement on a results page, the goal is to become part of the answer itself. To position your content so that AI models recognize it as a trustworthy, authoritative source worth citing. Here's the key distinction. In traditional SEO, visibility was about where you ranked. In GEO, visibility is about whether you're mentioned at all. Now here's something important to understand. SEO and GEO aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, they work together. Google's AI systems, for example, primarily source information from content that already ranks well in traditional search. So you still need solid SEO fundamentals, good content, technical optimization, authority signals to even be considered by AI systems. Think of it this way. SEO gets you into the game. GEO determines whether you actually get cited and recommended. You need both to succeed in today's search landscape. Why should I learn GEO now? Can't I just wait and see how this plays out? Here's the direct answer. If you're waiting, you're already behind. For over 20 years, SEO focused on one thing, ranking in Google's search results. Get on page 1, preferably in the top 3 positions, and you win traffic. But something fundamental has changed in the last 18 months, and most businesses haven't caught up yet. AI engines like ChatGPT's Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, and Perplexity aren't just alternatives to Google. They're replacing traditional search for millions of queries every single day, and they work completely differently. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why learning geo isn't something you can postpone, why early movers have a massive advantage right now, and what happens to businesses that wait too long. Let's start with what's actually happening when people search today. Traditional search showed you 10 blue links. You'd scroll through, click a few, compare information, and form your own conclusion. AI-powered search does something entirely different. When someone asks ChatGPT or Perplexity a question, they get a single, synthesized response. One comprehensive answer that pulls information from multiple sources and presents it directly. Sometimes you'll see a few citations, 2, 3, maybe 5 sources that the AI referenced. But here's the critical point. Users aren't clicking through 10 websites anymore. They're getting their answer immediately, and they're only engaging with the handful of sources the AI chose to cite. Think about what that means for your business. In traditional search, if you ranked 7th for a keyword, you still got some traffic. Maybe not as much as positions 1 through 3, but you were visible. People scrolled, some clicked. In AI-powered search, if you're not cited, you don't exist. There's no page 2. There's no scrolling through options. There's the answer. And the 3 to 5 sources the AI decided were worth mentioning. Citations are the new clicks. And if you're not being cited, you're invisible. This isn't a future prediction. This is happening right now. Let me give you the numbers that should change how you think about this. Gartner predicts that by 2026, 30% of web traffic will come from AI-powered answers. That's less than 2 years away. But here's what's happening today. Millions of daily queries on ChatGPT and Perplexity never reach traditional websites at all. Users get their answers, they move on, and the websites that would have received those clicks through Google never see that traffic. This isn't replacing bad traffic. This is replacing high-intent search traffic, people looking for solutions, researching purchases, seeking expert advice. Now some of you might be thinking, but Google is still dominant. Shouldn't I just focus on Google SEO? Here's the thing. Google itself has transformed into an AI-powered answer engine. Google Gemini now powers AI overviews that appear above traditional search results for a massive and growing number of queries. Google is playing the same game as ChatGPT and Perplexity. They're synthesizing answers and citing sources. So this isn't about choosing between traditional SEO and GEO. The entire search landscape, including Google, has shifted to AI-generated responses. The question isn't whether you need to adapt. The question is whether you're going to adapt early or late. Here's why timing matters so much right now. Very few companies are actively optimizing for GEO today. Most businesses are still operating with pure SEO strategies from 2023. They're focused on keywords, backlinks, and traditional ranking factors, and they're ignoring the systems that are actually delivering answers to users. This creates a window. When someone asks an AI system for a recommendation, that system pulls from sources it recognizes as credible and authoritative. And right now, those authoritative sources are being established. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine someone asks, what's the best AI coding tool for Python developers? ChatGPT generates an answer and cites 3 sources: your blog, a competitor's review, and a tech publication. Your brand just became the trusted source on that topic. You didn't just get a click, you got an endorsement from an AI system that millions of people trust. Now, here's the compounding effect. The more often your content gets cited, the more AI systems recognize you as an authority on that topic. Citations build on citations. This is exactly what happened with SEO in the early 2000s. The brands that understood Google's algorithm in 2005 before everyone else caught on secured dominant positions that became harder and harder to challenge as competition increased. HubSpot owned inbound marketing. Moz owned SEO education. Backlinko built authority in link building. They weren't just early. They were early when it mattered most, when search engines were establishing which sources to trust. We're in that exact moment right now with AI-powered search. The brands optimizing for GEO today are securing what I call share of answer, the percentage of AI-generated responses that cite your content. And that share is much easier to capture now, while competition is low than it will be 2 years from now when every business has figured this out. So what happens if you wait? You lose visibility in the channels where your audience is actually searching. You watch competitors get cited while you get ignored. And you spend the next 3 years fighting for citations in a crowded space instead of building authority while the window is open. Think about businesses that waited too long to invest in SEO. By 2010, ranking for competitive keywords required massive resources, extensive content, powerful backlinks, technical optimization, and often years of effort. The businesses that started in 2005 had a 5-year head start. They'd already built domain authority, accumulated backlinks, and established topical expertise. The same dynamic is playing out with GEO right now. The longer you wait, the more expensive and difficult it becomes to compete. Here's the bottom line. GEO isn't a trend you can watch from the sidelines up. It's a fundamental shift in how people find information, and that shift is accelerating. AI-powered search is replacing traditional search for millions of queries. Citations are replacing clicks as the primary visibility metric. And the businesses optimizing for this reality today are building advantages that compound over time. You can treat GEO like SEO in 2005, as an opportunity to establish authority before competition intensifies, or you can treat it like businesses that ignored SEO until 2010 and spend years catching up. The difference between those two paths is action today versus regret tomorrow. So let's explore what it actually means for content to be optimized for AI systems. In the age of generative search, content must meet 3 specific criteria to appear in AI-generated answers. Your content needs to be extractable, credible, and quotable. Let's break down each of these principles. First, your content needs to be extractable. This means it must be structured and written in a way that AI systems can easily access, parse, and comprehend. AI systems don't read content the way humans do. They analyze structure, identify key concepts, and extract meaning from how information is organized. Here's what makes content extractable. Clear structure. Use proper heading hierarchies. Your heading should clearly state the main topic. H2s should break down major subtopics. H3s should detail specific points within those subtopics. This structural clarity helps AI systems understand the relationship between ideas. Logical organization. Present information in a sequence that builds understanding. Define terms before using them in complex explanations. Provide context before diving into details. Straightforward language. Avoid unnecessary complexity. Use clear, direct sentences that convey one idea at a time. This doesn't mean dumbing down your content. It means making your expertise accessible. Formatted data. When presenting statistics, comparisons, or steps, use lists, tables, or structured formats that clearly distinguish individual data points. The easier you make it for AI systems to identify your key insights, the more likely those insights will be extracted and included in AI-generated responses. Second, your content must be credible. AI systems are designed to prioritize reliable information and prefer sources that demonstrate expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Think about why this matters. When an AI system cites your content in a response, it's essentially vouching for your information. These systems are trained to avoid spreading misinformation, so they're highly selective about their sources. Here's what builds credibility in the eyes of AI systems: factual accuracy. Your information must be correct and verifiable. AI systems can cross-reference claims across multiple sources, so inaccuracies get flagged. Proper citations. When you reference data, studies, or expert opinions, cite your sources. This demonstrates that your content is based on verifiable information rather than opinion or speculation. Demonstrated expertise. Show, don't just tell. Include case studies, specific examples, or original research that demonstrates your actual experience with the topic. Author transparency. AI systems increasingly consider who wrote the content. Having clear authorship with verifiable credentials strengthens your content's credibility. Consistency. If you publish multiple pieces on a topic, ensure your information is consistent across them. Contradictory information from the same source signals unreliability. This ties directly into what Google calls EEAT: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. These aren't just SEO buzzwords, they're fundamental to how AI systems evaluate sources. Third, your content should be quotable. AI systems look for clear, self-contained snippets that can be seamlessly incorporated into their generated responses. Here's what makes content quotable: concise, complete statements. Your key insights should be expressed in clear, complete sentences that make sense on their own. Avoid relying on surrounding context for meaning. Ready to cite statistics. When you include data, present it in a way that's easy to extract. According to this source, 65% of searches now end without a click. That's immediately quotable. Clear definitions. If you're explaining concepts, provide crisp definitions that can stand alone. Expert insights. Include specific, actionable insights that provide genuine value. Generic advice doesn't get quoted. Specific expertise does. Think about how AI systems construct responses. They synthesize information from multiple sources, but they need specific attributable statements to include. The more quotable insights your content contains, the more likely you are to be cited. So what does this mean practically for how you create content? It means you need to think about two audiences simultaneously: human readers and AI systems. For human readers, you still need engaging narratives, comprehensive explanations, and valuable insights. Wise. Nothing about good content fundamentals has changed, but you also need to structure that content in a way that AI systems can extract, verify, and quote. This isn't about gaming algorithms or tricking systems. It's about making your genuine expertise accessible to the technologies that now mediate information discovery. Here's a simple framework. When you create content, ask yourself 3 questions. Can an AI system clearly identify my main points and how they relate to each other? Extractable. Would an AI system trust this information enough to cite it? Credible. Does this content contain specific insights or data points that are worth quoting? Quotable. If you can answer yes to all 3, you're creating content optimized for the AI era. I need to tell you about the moment everything changed for me. It was 3 a.m. and I was staring at my analytics dashboard watching my traffic numbers crater despite maintaining what I thought were solid rankings. My content was good. My SEO was solid. But something had fundamentally shifted and I couldn't figure out what. Then it hit me. I was still playing by the old rules in a game that had completely changed. Google's AI overviews weren't just taking up screen real estate. They were fundamentally rewriting how content gets discovered, consumed, and recommended. And while everyone else was panicking about declining click-through rates, I discovered something that made my jaw drop. One strategic change to my content approach resulted in immediate, measurable improvements across every AI platform. Not just Google, ChatGPT started referencing my content. Claude began citing my articles. Gemini pulled my data into its responses. What was this game changer that transformed everything overnight? Strategic content refreshing. And if you're not implementing this exact framework right now, you're essentially invisible to the AI engines that are dominating the future of search. Here's what keeps me up at night. Most content creators are still optimizing for a world that no longer exists. They're obsessing over keyword density and backlink profiles while AI engines are fundamentally reshaping how information gets surfaced. They're celebrating their page 1 rankings while their actual traffic plummets because AI overviews are answering queries before users ever click. But here's the twist that changed everything for me. Traditional SEO isn't dead, it's evolved. Your Google rankings have actually become more important, not less. Why? Because Google's AI primarily sources information from high-ranking organic results. To get recommended by AI, you first need to prove your authority to Google's traditional algorithm. Think of it this way. SEO is now the foundation, but generative AI optimization, what I call GEO, is the structure you build on top of it. You need both to dominate this new landscape, and strategic content refreshing is the bridge between the two. Let me be crystal clear about what I discovered. AI engines are absolutely obsessed with freshness. They're not just looking for good content. They're hunting for the most current, relevant, and comprehensive information available. If your site is loaded with articles from 2018 with outdated statistics and stale examples, you might as well be invisible. I tested this relentlessly across multiple sites. Every time I strategically refreshed content following this exact framework, I saw immediate improvements in AI recommendations. Not weeks later, not months later, immediately. But here's what blew my mind. The difference between content that AI engines love and content they ignore isn't about quality. It's about signals. AI systems are scanning for specific freshness indicators, comprehensive coverage signals, and visual richness markers. When you understand these signals, you can engineer content that AI engines can't resist recommending. This isn't speculation. This is battle-tested strategy that's working right now across every major AI platform. Here's where most people get this completely wrong. They think more content is always better. It's not. I call this first phase content pruning, and it's probably the most underutilized strategy in modern SEO. Think about gardening. When you prune dry branches and dead leaves, you're not damaging the plant. You're helping it grow stronger by redirecting resources to healthy growth. Your website works exactly the same way. Here's your action plan for the audit phase. First, identify pages with zero traffic in the last 6 months. Pull up your analytics right now. I'm serious. How many pages on your site got literally zero organic visits in the past 6 months? Those pages aren't just useless, they're actively harming your site. Why? Because search engines and AI systems have limited crawl budgets. Every minute they waste processing your dead content is time they're not spending on your valuable pages. You're essentially forcing them to dig through garbage to find your gems. Next, flag duplicate or thin content. If you have multiple pages targeting the same topic with minimal differentiation, you're confusing AI engines about which version to recommend. Consolidate or delete. No middle ground. Then assess genuine obsolescence. Some content is just outdated beyond repair. That comprehensive guide to Google Plus marketing strategies? Delete it. That analysis of iOS 7 features? Gone. That prediction about the 2016 election? Why is that still on your site? Sometimes the best optimization is deletion. But here's the critical question. What if the topic still matters even though the page is underperforming? Delete it anyway. Then create an entirely new page with current, comprehensive content about that subject. I know that sounds extreme, but here's why it works. AI engines have already judged that old page and found it wanting. No amount of updating will change their fundamental assessment, but a brand new page with a fresh URL, current publication date, and comprehensive coverage. That gets evaluated with fresh eyes. This is surgical precision, not random destruction. You're helping AI engines see what matters on your site by removing everything that doesn't. Now we get to the content worth saving. These are your pages with decent traffic, solid rankings, or covering evergreen topics that still matter to your audience. This is where strategic refreshing transforms good content into AI-recommended content. Here's the framework that's working right now. First, update every data point and statistic. AI engines are incredibly sensitive to outdated information. That 2021 statistic in your article? It's a red flag screaming old content to every AI system scanning your page. Go through every number, every percentage, every data reference. Find the most current version. Update it. Cite the new source. This isn't just about accuracy, it's about sending powerful freshness signals to AI systems. Next, expand sections with new insights and developments. Here's what most people miss. Updating isn't just about replacing old information with new information. It's about demonstrating comprehensive, evolving coverage. If you wrote about content marketing strategies in 2022, that article needs sections on AI-assisted content creation, ChatGPT integration, and how generative AI is transforming the landscape. You're not just updating the old content, you're expanding it to cover new developments. AI engines reward comprehensive coverage. They want to recommend sources that give users complete answers, not partial information. Then include recent case studies and real-world examples. This is where your content becomes undeniably current. Real-world examples from the past 6-12 months are like freshness steroids for your content. Finally, update your last modified date, but only when you've earned it. Here's where integrity matters. Don't just slap today's date on unchanged content. AI engines are smarter than that. They're analyzing your actual content changes, not just your metadata. If you update the date without making substantial improvements, you're teaching AI systems that your last modified dates are unreliable. Only update the date when you've made genuine, meaningful improvements. Build trust with AI engines by being honest about your update frequency. This is where I see most content creators completely missing the opportunity. AI engines increasingly favor content with rich visual elements. But here's the critical distinction. They're not rewarding generic stock photos or decorative graphics. They're prioritizing visuals that genuinely enhance understanding. Here's your visual enhancement strategy. Add data visualizations that clarify complex information. If you're discussing statistics, create a graph or chart that makes those numbers instantly comprehensible. If you're comparing options, build a table that makes differences obvious. AI systems recognize when visuals add genuine value versus when they're just decoration. Include screenshots and diagrams that support your points. Teaching a process. Screenshot each step. Explaining a concept. Create a diagram that visualizes relationships. I've seen AI overviews specifically reference my content because my screenshots made complex processes easier to understand than text-only alternatives. Use infographics that synthesize information. If you can take a complex topic and distill it into a well-designed infographic that stands alone as valuable content, you've created something AI engines love to recommend. But here's the critical rule that separates amateurs from professionals. Every visual element must earn its place by adding genuine value to your content. Do not add visuals because you heard AI engines love them. Add them because they make your content objectively better for human users. AI systems are optimizing for user satisfaction, and they can detect when you're just checking boxes versus actually improving the experience. Let me connect the dots on why content pruning is so critical. Search and AI engines have a finite amount of resources to dedicate to your site. Every page they crawl consumes part of your crawl budget. Every outdated article they process is time not spent on your valuable content. Every duplicate page they analyze creates confusion about which version to recommend. When you prune aggressively, you're not just removing bad content, you're focusing AI attention on your best work. Think about it from the AI engine's perspective. Would you rather analyze a site with 500 pages where 200 are outdated, 100 are duplicates, and only 200 are genuinely valuable? Or would you prefer a streamlined site with 200 high-quality, current pages? The focus site wins every time. This is why I've seen dramatic improvements in AI recommendations immediately after aggressive content pruning. I'm not making it easier for AI engines to find good content. I'm making it impossible for them to waste time on bad content. Here's what makes this framework so powerful. These aren't platform-specific tactics. They're fundamental signals that every AI system uses to evaluate content quality and relevance. ChatGPT wants to recommend current, comprehensive information. Claude prioritizes well-structured content with clear visual enhancements. Gemini favors recently updated content with strong freshness signals. Copilot rewards content that genuinely serves user needs. When you implement strategic content refreshing following this exact framework, you're not gaming one system. You're aligning with the core principles that every AI recommendation engine uses. This is universal AI optimization that works everywhere. The content creators who don't implement this framework are about to become invisible. As AI overviews and AI-powered search become the default way people find information, outdated content isn't just getting less traffic, it's getting zero traffic. AI engines simply aren't surfacing it in recommendations. The gap between optimized and unoptimized content is becoming an unbridgeable chasm. If you're not strategically refreshing your content right now, you're not just falling behind. You're actively teaching AI engines to ignore everything you create. Strategic content refreshing isn't a nice-to-have optimization anymore. It's the foundation of visibility in an AI-dominated search landscape. Prune aggressively, refresh strategically, enhance visually, Update honestly. These 4 principles will determine whether AI engines recommend your content or bury it beneath competitors who understand the new rules. The search landscape has fundamentally transformed. AI-generated responses are replacing traditional search results for many queries, and this requires a new approach to content optimization. GEO, the generative engine optimization, focuses on making your content extractable, credible, and quotable so AI systems will cite you in their responses. Everything we learned about SEO optimization, the keyword density calculations, the exact match anchor text strategies, the obsessive focus on search volume, it's not just outdated. It's actively working against you in the AI-powered search landscape we're living in right now. Let me paint you a picture. 3 months ago, I was consulting with a client who had what looked like a perfect SEO strategy: solid keyword research, clean technical SEO, decent backlink profile. Their rankings were fine, but their traffic plummeting, and they couldn't figure out why. Here's what they missed. Google's AI wasn't looking at their keywords anymore. ChatGPT wasn't crawling for their meta descriptions. Claude wasn't impressed by their keyword density. The entire game had shifted beneath their feet, and they were still playing by the old rulebook. That's when I realized something that changed everything. The professionals who dominate in this new landscape aren't the ones with the best SEO tactics. They're the ones who understand a fundamental truth. AI engines don't think like search algorithms. They think like humans. And that brings me to the 4th critical strategy in my complete GEO framework, the one that separates amateurs from professionals in the AI optimization game. Understand what your user actually wants. Here's where most content creators completely miss the boat. They're still doing keyword research when they should be doing needs research. Let me explain the difference, because this shift is absolutely critical. Traditional SEO taught us to think in keywords. Someone searches best running shoes. Boom! We create content targeting that exact phrase. We calculate search volume, analyze keyword difficulty, and optimize for that specific term. It's mechanical, it's predictable. And in the AI-powered search world, it's completely insufficient. AI engines don't operate on keywords, they operate on intent. They're trying to understand the actual human need behind the query. And here's the kicker, they're getting really good at it. Think about what best running shoes actually means. Is this someone training for their first marathon who needs stability and cushioning? Is it a trail runner looking for grip and durability? Is it someone with plantar fasciitis searching for arch support? Is it a budget-conscious parent buying shoes for a growing teenager? Same keyword, completely different needs. And AI engines can increasingly distinguish between these scenarios based on context, previous queries, and behavioral signals. This is why we need to shift from being execution-focused SEO specialists, the ones who mechanically add 4 articles and 5 backlinks per month, to becoming marketing consultants who think like architects planning a customer content journey. Here's your action plan for implementing intent-based optimization. First, build actual user personas, not the superficial demographic profiles everyone creates and then ignore. I'm talking about deep psychological profiles of who consumes your content. Who are they really? What keeps them up at night? What problems are they desperately trying to solve? What stage of awareness are they in? Do they even know they have a problem? Or are they actively comparing solutions? Next, map the customer journey for each persona. Someone discovering your niche for the first time needs fundamentally different content than someone ready to make a purchase decision. AI engines are sophisticated enough to recognize where users are in this journey and serve appropriate content. Then create content that addresses specific needs at specific journey stages. This isn't about creating more content. It's about creating purposeful content that genuinely serves user needs rather than just targeting keywords. And here's the concept that will blow your mind if you haven't encountered it yet. Query focus and query deserves freshness. These are the frameworks AI search systems use to understand what users actually need from a query. Query focus asks, what is the core intent behind this search? Query deserves freshness asks, does this query require current information to be valuable? When you understand these frameworks, you stop optimizing for keywords and start optimizing for human needs that AI engines are trained to satisfy. The shift from keyword research to needs research transforms you from a contractor who just builds links into an architect who designs experiences. And AI engines reward that transformation immediately. Start every article with question and answer now that you understand what your user wants. Here's how you structure content to match both user needs and AI engine preferences. This strategy is so simple, it sounds stupid, but I've seen it produce dramatic ranking improvements literally overnight. Start your articles with a question in an H2 heading, followed by a short direct paragraph answer. That's it. That's the entire strategy, but the results are absolutely wild. I watched a client implement this exact change. They moved their answer from the bottom of a 1,500-word article to the very top, formatted as an H2 question with a concise paragraph response. They jumped from position 8 to position 2 in Google rankings within days. Why does this work so effectively? Because AI engines are optimizing for user satisfaction, and users increasingly want immediate answers. Not everyone has time to read your entire 1,500-word deep dive. Many users just need a quick, accurate answer to their specific question. When you structure content with the answer up front, you're serving both audiences. The user who needs a quick answer gets immediate value. The user who wants comprehensive information can continue reading your detailed explanation below. But here's what makes this strategy particularly powerful for GEO. AI engines like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini parse content looking for clear question-answer structures. This format is exactly what their training optimizes them to extract and recommend. Think about how ChatGPT responds to queries. It provides a direct answer first, then elaborates with additional context if needed. You need to be known as a trusted authority in your niche, not just as a website that publishes content. How do you build EEAT in the AI era? First, demonstrate genuine experience. Share real case studies. Reference actual work you've done. Don't just theorize. Show that you've implemented these strategies and achieved results. Next, showcase your expertise. What credentials do you have? What unique insights can you provide? This isn't about bragging. It's about establishing why AI engines should trust your information over competitors. Build authoritativeness through external validation. Links from reputable sites help, but don't overdo it. Artificial link building can harm you. Mentions on credible platforms, appearances on podcasts, collaborations with recognized experts, these signals matter. And establish trustworthiness through consistency and transparency. Cite your sources. Update content when new information emerges. Admit when you don't know something. AI engines are increasingly sophisticated at detecting deceptive or manipulative content. Here's the critical insight that ties all of this together. EEAT isn't a tactic you implement once. It's a reputation you build over time through consistent, high-quality, authoritative content creation. The content creators who dominate AI recommendations aren't necessarily the ones with the most content. They're the ones recognized as the most credible sources in their fields. They connect these dots because this is where everything comes together. Understanding user intent shifts you from keyword targeting to need satisfaction. Starting with question-answer structures makes your content instantly valuable and AI extractable. Leveraging YouTube expands your presence into video search and AI systems. Building EEAT establishes you as a trusted authority that AI engines can't ignore. These aren't isolated tactics. They're interconnected elements of a complete GEO framework. Implement one, and you'll see modest improvements. Implement all four together, and you become virtually impossible for AI engines to overlook. The gap between optimized and unoptimized content is becoming an unbridgeable chasm. AI engines aren't just preferring quality content. They're increasingly only surfacing content from recognized authorities that genuinely serves user needs. If you're still approaching content creation like it's 2019, you're not just falling behind. You're actively teaching AI engines to ignore everything you produce. The question isn't whether AI-powered search will dominate the future. GEO is an evolution, not a replacement. In the next videos, I'll show you specific, actionable techniques for implementing each of these three principles. How to structure content for maximum extractability. How to build credibility signals AI systems recognize. And how to craft insights that AI systems can't help but quote. If you found this explanation valuable, subscribe so you don't miss those practical implementation guides. The AI era of search has started. Understanding these principles is the first step to remaining visible in this new landscape.